When a solar flare occurs and you are not prepared, you will destroy your physical body. You must not get irritated.
How can I understand if I will be influenced by these flares?
This is 7.58. Dark forces are also increasing their level.
When will the next flares be?
In November 2024 and the second period, late March to early April 2025.
Powerful flares are coming from the sun, which will reflect on the overall field of the planet and the state of all people. Dasha, please tell me when the next flares will be.
Flares occur periodically. I think you have noticed that there is a lot in the news. There will be a solar flare now, and the activity of the sun is heightened. Almost every day, different flares occur on the sun. We just may not pay attention to them. But the active sun, which optimally influences the minds and destinies of people, will occur at least twice in the near future. This, we can talk about November 2024, which is the nearest time after the 24th. And the second period of activity is very powerful. It is the end of March and the beginning of April 2025. How might this reflect on the transformation of human consciousness and the minds of people? Firstly, we are changing. After each flare on the sun, there is an interaction and activation with the energy of the earth. And people who possess high-frequency vibrations increase their energy through emotions and feelings. We have a natural electromagnetism, and we cannot help but enter into this chemical reaction with the flares. What is happening to us? Either we are being triggered and we activate ourselves further, meaning we experience some global changes in our lives. We change jobs, we suddenly wake up aware, and we realize that we need to change our lives. Now I have people who say, Dasha, I came to you because I want to be useful to society. I want to be useful to humanity. Help me choose the right path of service, the right direction. These are conscious people whose high frequencies and vibrations have entered such a powerful resonant field of the earth that it has truly had a strong impact on their energetic vibrations and awareness. But there is also another side to solar flares. When the sun's activity reaches its maximum, the Earth's geomagnetic field also responds to the sun's activity, and certain magnetic and natural anomalies begin to occur. These are storms, these are tsunamis, these are earthquakes. In other words, our Earth reacts to flares from the sun. What does this lead to? To disasters, to changes. Again, the Earth's magnetic field is changing, and so some unclear viruses begin to emerge and diseases start to arise. People with weakened immune systems immediately face various physical and physiological problems and difficulties. Well, many are affected in terms of health. I also want to say that if you have a sufficiently low frequency, say an oxidized environment in which you live, it means you are not cleansing your body. We will definitely talk about how to cleanse the body. Because you do cleaning in the clinic, you clean your house. But why don't you clean your thoughts? Why are you not working on your high frequency vibration, your energy? It is very important. It is just as necessary as hygiene, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. The same goes for our physical body and our mental body. They need to be constantly transformed and enriched in order to be ready for these conscious states of transformation towards high vibrations. When a solar flare occurs, but you are not ready to accept transformation and change, everything in your state collapses. You change everything in your life, but you are not prepared for it. How might this affect you? The psyche is disturbed, the nervous system is disrupted, many experience panic attacks and fears, it impacts the immune system, and financial problems arise immediately. There are also issues in relationships with partners. In other words, a cycle begins to unfold like a whirlwind around a person. The person thinks, oh my God, everything is falling apart, my whole life is collapsing, my body is not responding to anything, I can't heal, and I keep going from one illness to another. In fact, your field is polluted. It is oxidized by negative emotions and negative energies. This means you are not transforming your consciousness. You are not working on yourself. And of course, in all of this, you start to eat a lot. Some people try to cover themselves with fat, not understanding why they begin to eat, due to nervous tension. Or conversely, some people cannot sleep, cannot eat. Some may begin to experience depression and severe psychological emotional states. And here we, can say that each person with their own inner universe reacts differently to the high frequency of solar flares. But this transformation of the sun is not accidental. When this explosive radioactive solar flare occurs, it absorbs the internal energy structure of a person. And if you vibrate in the same field as this solar flare, your vibration connects and gives you an inner glow. Since we are all electromagnetic, so to speak, we are still made of energy. Everything that is inside us, our body, our physics, is still energy. Vibrations of a certain frequency are energy. Therefore, if we work correctly with our energy, by resonating with a high-frequency solar flare, we develop, we get triggered, and we transition to a new consciousness. That is, it is the ascension, the transformation of your inner field, your inner structure of consciousness. Here arises a very deep philosophy when you work on yourself. You want to do something good for people. This is generosity, compassion, and goodness. When you radiate love, you receive love, and you say, "Love in my heart, I am in tune with this feeling. This feeling overwhelms me. I want to share this feeling with all living beings." Here I always give an example. Maybe you have seen the movie 7 Years in Tibet with Brad Pitt, where he played the main role. And there was a moment, this is the true story of the Dalai Lama, he is still alive to this day. When he was little, he wanted a cinema. There was an episode where they had to dig the earth to build the cinema. But they couldn't dig because there were worms. And Buddhists treated worms as living beings. What if this is your grandmother? Or what if this is your grandfather? We cannot kill them. So how do we build then? And here we found such a philosophy, a concept that does not involve killing any living being. Because every living being has its own specific energy. And you have no right to absorb any other energy. This is a high frequency of vibrations. This is a high frequency of spirituality. Well, perhaps we should strive for this. And here, once again, I want to recall the words of the Apostle Paul about love, that true love does not boast, is not proud, is not rude, and does not seek its own. It forgives everything, accepts everything, and demands nothing in return. It is to this high frequency that we must move forward and strive when a solar flare occurs. However, of course, we cannot always comprehend it, and we are not always ready for it. We perceive life differently. There are everyday things that specifically distract us. These dark demons, as we say, dark low-frequency forces, they specifically occupy us with some routine tasks. Here we want to develop, and then suddenly there's a need to fix the car, there are urgent current issues to resolve, something broke, and you need to do something for one of your relatives. And all of this is intentionally imposed karmically as a test to divert a person from their enlightenment. These are the dark forces. They are here, they are within. How else can a solar flare affect people's consciousness? It is aggression. There may be some military conflicts. There could be some strange force majeure circumstances that suddenly appear out of nowhere. But as a rule, people are confronted with these situations.
This will all happen soon. It is already happening. It is already happening.
Right now?
Right now. And there will be another flare. How can I understand that I will be affected by these flares?
Well, first of all, you suddenly wake up and realize that you have no strength, and you feel some kind of aggression, irritation towards everything. You just don't understand what is happening to you. You have no joy in life, and suddenly you are engulfed by some dark energy. You didn't foresee anything, and everything started to fall apart. You don't understand what is happening to you. This is an indication that you are not ready, that the solar flare which occurred at that moment has affected your consciousness, consuming you. In other words, you cannot resonate with the energy that is occurring, with this light energy.
And how will solar flares affect our physical bodies? What problems might arise?
Of course, you can go outside and you might get hit by a car or have a brick fall on your head. And this is your karmic punishment for your misdeeds, your unpreparedness for a certain transition. It may happen that you meet a person, accidentally help them, and that person turns out to be a very serious spiritual master who invites you to serious meditative practices. You will suddenly elevate your consciousness, change your lifestyle, and start helping people. It depends on how you behave, what kind of life you lead. You are a reflection of all your actions, deeds, and behaviors. Therefore, exactly what you see in your reflection will happen.
What other problems might people face during these flares?
Problems can be anything. If you cherish your relationships, you may lose them because you are clinging to them and your ego tightly holds on to the other person. You do not realize that at that moment you become an abuser and your behavior restricts the other person's freedom of expression. Then you will lose exactly what is most precious to you right now. If you are attached to gold and silver, money, career, fame, and success, you may lose exactly that, as it will serve as a teaching reflex for your consciousness to move to a new level. And if you are constantly worried about your health, endlessly imagining some non-existent diseases, or if you have a pimple that pops up, you are already rushing to the doctor to check for oncology, or you are convinced that it will definitely be something serious. We actually shape what happens to us with our thoughts. You know, I'll tell you this. In his time, Tesla made a discovery that since we are made of vibrations, high-frequency music, at a certain frequency can influence our organs. And we can even heal ourselves with vibrations. This is very important information, friends. If you feel that your energy is depleted, that everything irritates you, that you wake up with no strength at all, that you can't move anywhere, that you have depression, panic attacks, fears, everything irritates you, and you argue with your relatives and loved ones, not understanding what is happening to you. The money channel is not working, everything is falling apart, everything feels forced, and it feels like a dump truck has run over you, leaving you completely drained, with no strength to move, no power, no energy, unable to wake up, unable to force yourself to get up and do something. That is, you feel a complete depletion and emptiness of energy. I invite you, friends, to my free live broadcast, which will take place very soon. In this broadcast, you will be able to receive a diagnosis of your energy state, what is happening to you, understand, and of course receive recommendations on how to protect yourself from magical influences. I will share my unique knowledge with you for the first time. And click on the first link in the description. Activate for the free live broadcast.
Dasha, please tell me, are these flares somehow connected to the global cleansing that is currently happening on the Earth?
Of course, artificial conditions are being created to increase the sun's activity, leading to climate changes that cause, as a mechanism, one thing to change and everything else structurally collapses. Post-climatic changes arise, which will result in disasters. That is, tsunamis, hurricanes. Look at what is happening here. Europe is completely flooded. America has been inundated, but this is not just happening for no reason. Again, we are experiencing some strange climate changes, anomalies, even on Russian territory. Everything is changing. In fact, where it was very cold, it will become warm. And the latest information is that the desert has been flooded. How can a desert be flooded? Look, it's really happening. I even gave interviews to journalists about how a desert could be flooded. And it happened. Where does it snow? Where is it not supposed to snow at all? Just look at what is happening now. In fact, the Gulf Stream, this current that is vital for the Earth, if the Gulf Stream changes direction, what does that indicate? The ancient continents, the ancient continent of Mu and the ancient continent of Atlantis, which are supposedly submerged and kept secret in laboratories in Antarctica, will suddenly begin to rise, emerge, and become visible. Those secret knowledge that has been hidden for centuries from human civilization. Yes, transformation is happening. Yes, the sun's flare changes everyone. Yes, it brings cataclysms, disasters, and destruction, on one hand. On the other hand, it provides knowledge, transformation, and changes people's consciousness. You see, every situation has two sides. There are good things and not so good things. Again, it is impossible to evaluate this. These are just structural changes. And the cleansing of the population due to the occurrence of solar flares will indeed continue. And here is a reasonable question. Which place will be the most dangerous? I think we are talking about Europe, which will definitely be structurally flooded with water. There will be water. We know the famous romantic place, Venice, which is located on the water. We must understand that the water level will rise. We must also understand that, unfortunately, we will face very strong changes in climate conditions for which Europe is not prepared. because after all, their communication systems are somewhat weaker than ours. Therefore, it is also important to understand that there will be impacts on electricity, meaning there will be problems with grain and issues with electricity. But this is related to climate changes. What will happen to America? I see many winds, many hurricanes, just a lot, and they come one after another. What does this bring? The collapse of buildings, destruction of roofs. So again, it's this multi-layered, complex situation. People have just come out of one catastrophe, and suddenly the next one has begun. This means it affects people's psyche because climate change keeps them in a constant state of horror and fear, feeling that they cannot cope. With natural disasters, and this solar flare actually had an effect, but no one noticed. So what if there was a solar flare a few days ago and a tornado or hurricane came a few days later? That's a direct connection. Therefore, of course, this needs to be discussed. And of course, population cleansing is happening in this context.
So it turns out that people in fear can be easily controlled, and overall, this all sounds like some kind of global scheme. If this is someone's design, well, if that's how it is, then who actually conceived it?
This civilization did not conceive itself. First of all, let's start with the fact that we are also guests here. We are not from this planet. We are here temporarily. If we look seriously, this climate does not suit us. Unfortunately, oxygen greatly oxidizes our bodies, shortening our lives. This is not our planet. We are most likely aliens here. To be completely frank, it's even more than that. There are many factors that could prove that we are guests here. And the true inhabitants of the Earth are animals. It is their planet. Primarily dolphins that communicate, and whales, yes, with ultrasound. They have a special consciousness there. These are also jellyfish, and these are tardigrades, you know. Yes, all these living beings. Tardigrades can live for hundreds of years without food or water. They are indeed strange creatures that live longer than any other on this planet. This is exactly the primitive creature that was originally a resident of the Earth.
I haven't heard that.
We're not from here. Read about those hunts. There will be a lot said about it.
So, are they really trying to erase us from the face of the Earth?
In part, we are being cleansed. Conditions are being created for us to become fewer so that we stop causing harm. Of course, we harm the Earth, that is true, for the most terrible beast to man is himself. When you want to deal with your enemy, look at yourself. If you can transform yourself, work with your consciousness, your emotions, and manage your body and spirit, then, yes, you will understand a great deal. I would even say that there is a concept called the mind of the heart. How do you come to this? It is awareness. When you manage your emotions, there is the mind of the heart.
In the end, is this planned by someone, or does it just happen on its own?
These are civilizations that do not have embodiments on Earth in our bodies. This is 5G, 6G. It is another dimension that is not perceived by the human brain. We will not be able to understand this because we are in a different plane of perception. As I told you, we live, so to speak, in a simulation surrounded by a dense Antarctic ring. You know about this, that we are completely surrounded by Antarctica, a ring. No one talks about it, but it is really so. And even if you try to measure Antarctica on Google Maps, it doesn't work. But all the other continents can be measured, sort of. This is also proof that we live under a dense Antarctic ring. There is a lot that is hidden from people. And of course, as you understand, all of this is not accidental. We are being pushed out. We are here temporarily as if in a laboratory. That is, we have been placed here by higher energies, another civilization of high frequency. What should we strive for? These flares are created to bring us closer to their consciousness, so that we can transition to another level. You know, what example can be given right now about transitioning to another density? This is already happening at this moment. I will give a direct example that will be clear to absolutely everyone.
How to transition to another density?
Yes, it's about how it is happening. Now, not how to transition, but how it is happening at this moment. Look, you take your avatar, you kind of create it and use artificial intelligence, right? You transfer your avatar into a digital image. You understand, right? You live in the digital world. You have been living in another dimension. Physically, you are not there. But your avatar can speak in your voice. To become your duplicate, and copy myself with your intonations, your energetic frequencies. At the same time, you can say things like you will destroy your physical body by creating in a digital format. And in that digital format, you will continue to live. Right now, many deceased actors and famous people are being brought back to life, and you look and think, wow, that's him, that's her over there. What is this about? What can we say about it? This transformation is already manifesting in digital products. You see, it's all not a coincidence. That is, we are already gradually transitioning into another form.
It feels like in the future we will all become robots. Well, let's say some kind of digitized being, so to speak.
Look, here.
We will not have these physical bodies, and we will all become holograms.
It is very possible that you are a hologram right now, because I, for example, I held the following thought that in 2012, the Sumerians, the fathers of the Maya, predicted that the end of the century occurred. We simply had our memories erased. We do not remember this. In reality, we have long been digitized personalities living in a digital format, yet still possessing the consciousness we had when we lived in physical bodies. This moment began in 2012. Many ask, well, when? When did this transition start? It started in 2012. This is not a coincidence. Our body has changed. We just do not yet understand that we live in a digital world, that this is a big game, a computer game. And you actually do not exist. You think that this is your hand, that this is your leg, you feel everything. This is how your brain actually works. It perceives things this way. And if you remove all these illusions, then you are nowhere. Is there anything?
So what am I then? Am I some kind of flare?
Yes, roughly like that. You are digitized, you are a number, you are information, you are energy, you are a bodiless substance, but your mind, in order to perceive itself correctly, sees itself exactly like this.
It's all a game of the mind.
It's a game of the mind. These are the games of the gods, and the gods are so caught up in the game that they have forgotten they are in a game. They entered the game and became part of it, losing the memory that they once created this game themselves. The games of the gods are a fact, and the god is you yourself. You are the creator. It is your consciousness that shapes everything happening around you. Look, many say, I don't understand why I have such a complicated life. But you yourself shape your reality with your thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions, deeds, and your attitude towards yourself and your attitude towards other people. You, like a stone that you throw into the water, create ripples that karmically reflect what is happening in your life. Each of us has our own reality, our own universe. Here we are in the same room, but each of us is in our own inner world. This means that each of us perceives another person differently. Perhaps you see me in your own way, while I see myself in my own way. But from this, you do not see my true essence, because your perception is your reflection. A very common phenomenon in transformation. What are these solar flares? It is also a reflection. That is, you see a person as a reflection of yourself. But do you see the essence? Discover, perceive this essence. What is it really? Watch the movie, The Matrix. There are many hints there.
If I see you the way I wanted, it means this is my projection.
Yes, it's your projection.
Is there any possibility to see a person as they truly are?
Yes.
You need to bring your consciousness to a certain state.
Yes. We are talking about the state of altered consciousness, which allows each of us to reach a certain level of perception and understand the irrational reality that exists at present. Why irrational? Because it does not exist. It is very difficult to explain to people that the reality they are in does not exist. Many will think that this is some kind of nonsense. No, it is not nonsense. Very soon, discoveries will be made that will prove this.
What kind of consciousness is this? And how can we reach it when we will be able to see the essence rather than what we have projected onto someone or something?
I'll give you an example, a very simple example. In my time, when I was developing my abilities, the pineal gland, as they say, the third eye, now we can say it in one word. The first thing I recommend to all viewers who want to develop their intuition is to avoid drinking water that contains fluoride and not to use toothpaste that contains fluoride. But you know that something is specially added to the cake to dull your consciousness, your awareness, so that you cannot...
To condense you into an illusion, yes, so that you cannot see things as they are.
Absolutely right. Just like the black glasses in the movie They Live, the person put them on, gained insight, and saw what actually exists. Without the glasses, he did not understand the reality in which he lives. In order to understand and comprehend everything that is happening, one must be in an altered state of consciousness. What is this? It is when no thought in the form of words penetrates your mind. You control your consciousness to the extent that you can stop this endless mental monologue, which each of us has. One elder, when I was developing my 3rd grade, told me, "Dasha, take a piece of colored paper like the ones for children, white, red, yellow, green, draw a small dot in the center of this plane. Sheet. Place this sheet 50 centimeters from your sight and look at it carefully for a long time, not..." By directing your attention without getting distracted to this point, you not only form the right perspective, but you also clearly concentrate your memory and attention. You begin to train your brain for a correct perception of reality, and you will see how the color that seemed yellow to you has become a completely different shade and has changed altogether. Because even the colors that our vision sees are distorted. This is the first exercise that needs to be used at all, and to be used in order to understand. But there are also other exercises that allow you to unlock your intuition, open your 3rd eye, and your conscious reality. There are many of these exercises, and they are quite simple. But if you drink, smoke, lead an unhealthy lifestyle, and eat heavy fatty food, you won't be able to reach this state. You simply won't have the time for it. You'll just need to fill your belly. There will be time to deal with other questions later. Why do I say start with nutrition, start with your thoughts, engage in spirituality, work so that no thought in the form of a word penetrates your mind? And for this, meditations exist. The state of altered consciousness can be very intense when you are experiencing some stress. The brain starts to work differently, and during stress, a person does not understand that at that moment they are a person is not in some special state of altered consciousness. When people kiss, for example, if they have constant thoughts in their heads, then the person will not relax and will not be able to, let's say, kiss, because he will be somewhat constrained like this. This is also a state of consciousness. It is about managing one's thoughts. So, like love, relax, and learn to work properly with your thoughts and your high energy vibrations. Use this experience emotions. It raises your energy, elevates your vibrations, and allows you, like an electrical device, to shine from within, possessing that special inner magnetism, sacred power, and the ability to attract this power, as the people and personalities around us are precisely those we have somehow drawn to ourselves.
To experience all emotions.
Gamma, different, good there, better, but here the question is how to control yourself. No, it's not good. It's not bad. You shouldn't make evaluative judgments. I always say, work with your evaluative judgment. Put on a rubber band. But I don't want a rubber band. Right now, just put a rubber band on your wrist. If you want to evaluate a person, to label them as bad or good, I read in the comments, "Oh, she is this and that." Guys, this indicates a low level of your vibration. If you label a person, it means you have some psychological, emotional, or spiritual problems, and you are trying to hide them by projecting them onto another person, which is now called trolling, a trendy word. In reality, you are the one with issues. You have problems, blocks, and tensions. You try to hide your fears by labeling another person. This is low vibration. You are mired in this swamp. You cannot develop further because you provoke envy, or you experience this envy. In other words, these vibrations are dangerous. They destroy the immune system. From here, people start to get sick and troubles pour in like from a horn of plenty. But you need to work on yourself, so high-frequency emotions are necessary. This is about what emotions you need to experience. Well, work on your emotions. Are you being angry, aggressive, wanting to hit someone in the face? What is this? This will reflect back on your energy. Have you watched Solaris?
Solaris was watching.
What is this about? Some may not know, but it is a certain substance in the planets that possessed intelligence, and it created illusions in the brain and induced certain hallucinogenic forms. And the brain perceived the departed people, the cosmonauts. They were in space, and they did not understand that they were interacting with some very high-frequency intelligence. Make peace with your mind. Do not be your own enemy. Do not destroy yourself from within with malice, greed, aggression, and so on. Generosity, compassion, goodness, love, happiness, joy, bright, kind, sensual, and beautiful emotions give you an inner glow. They raise your vibrations. When a solar flare resonates with the Earth's field, instead of falling, so to speak, getting sick or breaking down, you actually become even more vibrant and brighter. You grow, you develop. In other words, you generate high-frequency energy and continue on.
This is very interesting because many masters and spiritual mentors say that one should only experience good emotions. And I'm curious, how can this be achieved? Is it even necessary? For example, if I am angry, what should I do now? Should I suppress my anger or what? What can I do to not be angry? Because they say that if you are angry, something will happen to you. You will get sick. You won't progress. So the question is, what should people do with their negative emotions? A person is angry, he feels hurt, he wants to punch someone in the face. How should he deal with his emotions?
Work with your emotions. When you start to feel aggressive, calm your mind, enter a state of altered consciousness so that no thought in the form of words penetrates your brain. But there are rebirthing techniques of holotropic breathing that also help to get out of a state of aggression. That is, a deep inhale through the nose and a sharp exhale through the mouth. You breathe like this several times. It's holotropic unified breathing from the word holistic. Perhaps you have heard of the concept of holotropic breathing. That is also a way to control your mind. So breathe like this if you want to feel aggressive. Look at yourself in the mirror, say something nice, and switch your mind.
Does it allow you to quickly get out of this state?
Partly, yes, but at least it gives control over emotions. Well, I believe that it's impossible not to get irritated at all, but one must work on it.
So what does deep work consist of? If these were some situational pieces of advice, then what is deep work?
Deep work is a creative engagement with energies where you grow. This means that you are not only involved in some spiritual practices, but you also help people. This is already transitioning to the next stage of service to humanity. That is, these are some actions, deeds, or professional work, or a purpose that life carries. In other words, everything related to the energy of life, the sacred flower of life. It is what gives the opportunity to awaken life. That is, it is the energy that grows, develops, helps, and inspires. This can involve actions of a volunteer or charitable nature. These can also be specific professional skills when you understand or help a person get out of a difficult, complex, or confined situation. Perhaps you will save someone's life in this way. Maybe your advice will help someone get out of a difficult, depressive state. Perhaps you will save an animal on the street. That is also a very good deed. But these are your actions. By their fruits, you will know them. For a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. It is written in the Old Testament, it is written in the New Testament. I am quoting directly. This is the same thing what we are talking about now, and what has been written in all the ancient religions. One must be able to control oneself. This is very difficult. I can't say that I am always in high vibrations. Of course, there are times when you are deliberately provoked and resonate. You control yourself and try not to lose the right vibe, the right state, the atmosphere. Not in all cases does it work out. After all, we are human, and here we remember that whoever is without sin, let him cast the first stone. To understand a person, one must put on their sandals and walk their path. Therefore, do not judge, do not label anyone at any time, for you will be condemned yourself first and foremost.
Dasha, I have the next question. What happens to the dark forces from flash to flash?
The dark forces also transform along with us. That is, if the density of dark energy was not as heavy as it is now, then the more solar flares there are, the more. You know, I will draw an image of a snake that starts to devour a person more and more. That is, if you do not develop, you will not be able to move forward. If you cannot move forward, the dark will consume you. You will not be able to exist in the physical dimension you are currently in. In other words, the dark forces also raise their level. That is, they are increasingly presenting a challenge to human civilization. Either you move forward or you sink yourself.
So they are developing together with us.
Everything is leading to transformation. Everything that happens to us is changing. Our entire life is changing. And along with this, both dark and light energy are changing.
How can one protect themselves from dark forces?
You know, I have recipes in my book. I have this little book. You know, this is my third book. In 2011, I published the other two. This is the third book, and I hope it is not the last. Here I have many very interesting recipes. And, of course, regarding the predictions of the Katrines, 21 Katrine, 500 years ahead, I once told the audience about this, and surely many will want to know more about the future, so I will read it. But right now, for example, I want to suggest protection for the home, to talk about how to protect your house. Well, look, there is a way to hang a sprig of St. John's wort on the entrance door from the side of the rooms, just a simple dried St. John's wort.
I had it in my childhood.
Flowers down. If you hung it, how did you hang it? Did I hang it with the flower down?
At one point I was horizontal.
Or under the threshold, place something made of stainless steel, like a fork or a knife. You know, a method that provides protection. And I must say, may those who will live here be healthy for many years so that nothing harms them. You can add some of your own words as well. There is a specific conspiracy here, but it's not always that important. You know, if you lived in Asia, you might have noticed that many doors are painted blue. And this is a protective color, because the door is a portal, a transition. In Asia, there is almost a cult of serving as a transition. There can be spaces in the form of open doors, and all of them are strewn with flowers, like some kind of temple, because it is a transition from one dimension to another. This is a mini formula that you create. Yes, the blue color of the door. Maybe someone will watch our interview today and understand how I have always potentially wanted to paint my door blue. Yes, yes. It's not funny. I'm completely serious.
I just remembered my door.
Doors on you.
In childhood there was a blue door, probably about 25 years ago.
Look, I want to read one of the verses that is here about world events. I warn you right away that these countermeasures are specially encrypted. Knowledge of future global events should not be accessible to the average person. But those who have the ability to think can read between the lines. And I want our viewers to learn, develop their minds, and perhaps try to decipher my prediction.
Yes, dear friends, if anyone can decipher, leave all your attempts in the comments and then Dasha will say who was the closest.
Multiply 16 by 3, divide by 3/4, and you will meet him. Everyone will wait for him, but a lightning will come and announce him itself. But he who perceives the truth will be saved, while the ground will part beneath his feet. The answer is in the 13th. It resembles a snake, yet it is a man. He will carry the light, but he is darkness. Do not forget, you will recognize him by 3 things: fire, earth, and the moon. If you remember, write it in reverse. If you understand that he is Satan, you will find the answer by the water, by the sign of the flower, through the name of the reed. At the number 32, turn around. Look at yourself, and only then will you know the Creator. Difficult, but it is encrypted, and some things can be deciphered very accurately.
But some things I feel like I already understand now. However, I would still like to think a bit more about the rest.
It is very good that the knowledge in this book is encrypted, because it should not be, I repeat, accessible to everyone. And I really hope that our broadcast, this interview of ours, is for a reason. For consciousness, for awareness, for enlightenment, in order for the gap between worlds to widen, and perhaps for your awareness of the real, sacred life, energy, your own, to allow you to move forward, transforming your consciousness into another dimension.
I would like to discuss more broadly how will affect global politics in general.
I will respond this way World politics will be engulfed in fire. The fire represents military clashes, it represents conflicts. And as long as Israel is not at peace, there will be no peace in the world. This is how I will respond. It is very important for Palestine and the conflict currently happening in the Middle East to calm down, because many trigger stories of global scale come precisely from there. And I would advise to work as much as possible with aggression, with the energy of these low vibrations. Unfortunately, solar flares have a very strong impact on the energies of Mars. Mars is the god of war, the god of destruction, and we cannot help but feel what is happening. Even in line, people there, for example, start to become aggressive. But this aggression is definitely present, unfortunately, here. We need to understand that we will face conflicts in the future, and it will spread like a contagion, like a virus.
Where can you clarify?
In France, there will be local clashes of the dissatisfied because there will be reforms, political and economic changes, unfortunately, and let's say there will be civil confrontations. Conflicts within the ruling elite, let's put it that way. And if we look at Spain, the hot blood of the Spaniards is a bit less intense, it will be calmer. But Spain will be subjected to climate-related cataclysms. This is a tsunami. These are various, shall we say, unusual climatic phenomena. As for France, there is hot blood there, and there will be many conflicting stories. Well, I would say there will be a political change of power.
What can you say about America?
America is facing very serious challenges ahead. Very serious corruption schemes and scandals will be uncovered, and of course the politics of power will change. But in America, women cannot be in power, cannot, if a woman comes to power, and there is a very high probability of that, Kamala Harris, we are talking about her, then unfortunately it will destroy the entire structure. This cannot be, because I see the threat of America's curse, that it is precisely a woman who will destroy everything. A woman can lead to the complete destruction of the long-standing power mechanism that men have built. I am generally not in favor of patriarchy by any means, but I see that a woman will cast a curse on America. She will not be able to handle power and will be replaced by a man. Men who have long desired this power but cannot obtain it. This is Trump, in any case, in any scenario. This is Trump.
Will she gain power?
Well, not without the involvement of Kamala Harris, but I also see a new player who is not yet known. This is a relatively young speaker, well, relatively young when he is over 40, but for a president, that is a young age. So it will be a different person, in fact. You see how much change will be needed for America to reach such a calm, peaceful, and prosperous existence. There will also be no peace at the borders of Russia. This is Kaliningrad. This is the Kuril Islands. Japan, of course, will assert its rights and will be in conflict. It's all just a matter of trigger time. That is, the Japanese are very complex people. They are withdrawn. They wait like snakes, waiting for the right moment to strike. We will wait, but we are accumulating our energy, negativity, and they will strike. Well, of course, we can talk about Poland. For some reason, I see a huge amount of negativity in Poland, a real accumulation of darkness. I fear that the border will be drawn in and will become more involved in a global conflict.
What about China?
China, against the whole world, it always has been. China is on its own. It only looks after its own interests. He will be in coalition with the Russian Federation, but temporarily, as long as it is beneficial. As soon as the benefit is not what China needs, China will withdraw on its own. China will never belong to anyone. China belongs to itself. This is Eastern philosophy, to be with everyone, but with no one.
Will China ever become the leading state?
China will not be able to rule the whole world, but China will be very close to leadership. In the coming years, China is expecting a dawn. This is a fact.
And we move on to the next question. What will happen with electricity? Will there be a shutdown? Will this somehow affect the banking system? Accordingly, what will happen to the banks?
Electricity will be turned off vectorially, that is segmentally. If the power is not enough, then the power will be turned off. This is In one place it will be turned off, while in another it will create the illusion that it exists, but in an economical mode. This will largely concern Europe because, you remember, I mentioned that there will be communication problems in Europe, primarily due to climate change. Yes, there will be a vector shutdown of electricity all over the world. There will be a moment of silence when suddenly, unexpectedly, people have recently started to notice one social network collapsing. And for some reason, another social network is collapsing suddenly all over the world. These vector changes are related to the Earth's geomagnetic field, which is absorbed by a solar flare. And the solar flare, these magnetic fields where our communication actually takes place, destroys. Therefore, of course, we must talk about the fact that without electricity, there will be those prosperous countries and regions that seemingly should not have suffered from this. In the same America, in some states, there will be a complete power outage. That is to say, yes, this will be happening all over the world. This is called vector disconnection of electricity. You will see it for yourself in the next 1.5 to 2 years.
And who initiates this?
This is initiated by nature. And of course, for the purposes of economy, because we can see inflation all over the world. That is, the economic component of almost all major countries takes on a form where development slows down. There is even a specific name for this, regression, that's how it's called. But we also remember that there was a period of the Great Depression in America. You will begin to say that America is approaching this. America is hiding the world's gold reserves, which are mostly depleted. That is, there will be a very large financial collapse. Financial markets will be devastated. I would pay very serious attention to all these digital cryptocurrencies right now. Why? You must be cautious. Risks are very high. Risks will increase. Pay attention, market crash.
In what way would you look into them? I mean, is it worth getting involved or not?
You know, I would say that the cryptocurrency market is more or less safe for the next 6 months, but then it won't be. So you need to withdraw your capital in time. But so that you don't find yourself poor, waking up, having gone to sleep with capital, and waking up with nothing at all. And you are not to blame, because that is how circumstances have turned out.
What is this related to? Is it somehow connected to the power outage?
Or are there other reasons? Politics, aggression. There are many reasons here. There is no single component. Of course, there will be chaos caused by the shutdown of vector electricity. Can you imagine being without the internet, without light, without anything? Are you ready for such an economy mode?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't mind. Lately, there's just so much information in front of me. My head is already spinning.
You are saying this right now.
I would sit in silence for a little while.
Well, you are already asserting that like a Buddhist, but when you immerse yourself in reality and realize that you lack communication, if you are an empathetic and sociable person, what will ultimately happen?
Well, it will be sad, of course.
Some people will panic. Some will just feel like climbing the walls out of fear that there is no one to talk to. I can't call my mom. I can't write some kind of post on the internet.
We have already talked a little about spiritual protections against the influence of outbreaks. What about various amulets and tinfoil hats?
Listen, if you really wear a tinfoil hat, it won't help you. But there is a placebo effect. If you believe that the foil, reflecting its, let's say, properties, can deflect some kind of energy blow, well, it can't. But if we turn to the pyramids and pyramid-like structures of ancient civilizations, they did not build pyramids for no reason. Why? It's resonance. Resonance that allows, if you hide in a pyramid, inside the pyramid, or create a pyramid and stay in this pyramid, there is a chance that a solar flare may not affect your life. You, your fate, or let's say, destructively impact your energy as much. It seems to me that it is very difficult to make a pyramid. A real one in which you can live, or even a room in the shape of a pyramid, or climb into a pyramid. But our ancient ancestors knew about this threat, about this danger, and they created pyramids so that the pyramid would allow one to enter the necessary state of altered consciousness and avoid this vibrational field that causes a solar flare. In my opinion, there was even a large pyramid in the Moscow region. A man named Goliath or something like that had a surname that was somehow related to this pyramid. You know, when you enter there, the energy is different. It's a dense kind of energy. There's even a property that food doesn't spoil there. Like in the pyramid and in distant, so to speak, moods, there is a different energy there. Pyramids and the properties of pyramids, even if you place a small pyramid at home near your headboard or where you relax, where you spend the most time, will also raise your vibrations. That is, any form of pyramids really affects energy, increases vibrations, and enhances protective properties. Small mirrors that should always be carried with you, but with the reflective side facing up, which reflect the influence of heavy geomagnetic fields. Well, these are reflective properties. By the way, there is clothing that also contains reflective properties. These are new materials. I'm not very knowledgeable about this, but I know that these reflective properties are present in workwear and are even used. Strangely, the clothing taken on hikes reflects heat and contains it. Such clothing made from a certain material provides a bit of protection, so to speak. It allows for these geomagnetic anomalies, reduce risks. Again, these are merely possibilities. It is impossible to completely protect oneself from solar flares. This is a living person. You are still affected by it. It concerns everyone, absolutely everyone. And here, of course, it is important to understand that one must keep their mind and spirituality pure. I mentioned that I do not eat meat. Why don't I eat meat? It's a philosophy that isn't for everyone, because I work with high-frequency energy. It's not just because it has to be this way. No. Many ask how to maintain the proper activation of youth, the cellular organism, prolong their life energy, and cultivate this sacred strength within themselves so that their light influence on the energy of the sun is woven correctly and harmoniously into the structure of reality. Drink water correctly. Many will ask, what should the water be like? The pH of the water, it should be 7.58, the most active, maximally oxygen-saturated water. That is very important. If you drink bad water, you age faster. Many people may feel unwell after a solar flare. You haven't seen a person for a month, and then you look at them. Completely gray-haired, how old he has become. Or maybe you just haven't seen the person for a long time. Wow, the person looks completely different. Why? What happened? Why does the person look like that? Because a person works at their high frequency, because they tune themselves correctly. We are like musical instruments. We need to be properly tuned to this solar flare, to this energy.
I think it's not just water that you need to have ready.
Of course, not only that, life comes from water. Water is life. Our initial structure of life originated from water sources, from water. I generally believe that water possesses some kind of intelligence, I would say. This is a very strong energy. It is conscious energy. And one must learn to negotiate with water.
And water seems to be able to transmit information, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly can. We know that the Japanese have made advanced scientific developments regarding the fact that they placed 2 bottles of water, either 2 jars of water, I might be inaccurate. In one water they only spoke prayers, goodness, something bright, something good. In another water they spoke negatively, said bad things, and they measured the structure of the water. And here is the water crystal that is joyful, bright, good, filled with prayers and kindness. It was truly a source of life, right? The flower of life, as they say now, sacred geometry, right? There is such sacred geometry there, similar to a lotus flower. A beautifully blossomed crystal of water. This is all recorded, this all exists. And the second water, which is completely distorted and crumpled, that is the living and dead water. We immediately recall our traditional Russian fairy tales. They did not appear for no reason. A fairy tale is a lie, but there is a hint in it, a lesson for the good young men. One must be able to read between the lines. One must always be able to read symbols, all the signs that are in your destiny, in your life, as some kind of hidden hints. What many people tell me, Dasha, is that I have a guardian angel. I can go through this flash of light so that I am not overwhelmed by some negative wave. Can I reach out to my, I don't know, relative who has passed away? Because maybe my family tree is connected, and thanks to that I can protect myself. I say yes, you can. There are techniques and methods of protection. And we will of course talk about this as well, because all viewers will be interested in how to properly go through a solar flare and how to help themselves. Any situation that occurs in our modern society can be inverted in such a way that it now provides an opportunity for development. It may not necessarily be the case. Some people tell me, by the way, Dasha, if I go into spirituality, will I have no money? No, this is a complete cup. It doesn't mean that you take the ascetic path and must renounce everything. This is not quite the right formulation. It reflects a certain narrowness of perception. That is, we are talking about the Holy Grail, that is, the sacred cup. It is a metaphor where you are that cup, meaning you are the temple in which the soul is contained. Decorate your temple, keep it clean, maintain the right energy, and practice meditation, because it cleanses the mind. That is, it is very important, as we talk about cleaning, to engage in the cleansing and ecological awareness of our mind and to work on our physical body. This is your work with your mental body. Well, first of all, as we understand, one should not get irritated. One should not take on this kind of low-frequency vibrational energy, be greedy, act aggressively, envy, kill, or destroy. All these 10 commandments were given for a reason. These are precisely karmic things. Can we consider the mental field as karma? To some extent, yes. But what is karma? The direct translation of the word karma is action. Therefore, if we want our actions to have some positive significance, some positive, energetic, sacred presence, it will naturally reflect back on us.